Welcome to the Soulfire Podcast, where every day we talk about real life, real shit, real raw. On this show, you can expect us to dive deep into topics like marriage, parenting, money, business, feeling like you want to give up, fighting for yourself, just straight soul healing. This podcast is all about life. Hey there, it's Power Coach Alicia here, your source of fun, funny, exciting, entertaining, and educational life coaching, transformational speaking, and soul healing. We're talking about setting your soul on fire. I specialize in helping women put themselves first without feeling guilty, getting out of their own way, and finding themselves again. No fluff, no hand-holding, no bullshit here, just love, light, and peace as we journey through this thing called life. Welcome back. In this episode, I wanted to talk to you about something that I feel like really impacts relationships negatively, right? Because I taught you my 6 steps to creating a deep soul bond. And one of the things that happens when you are not actively paying attention to what's going on in a conversation and communication styles and that sort of thing is what I call cyclic destruction. Now, cyclic destruction doesn't just have to do with communication relationships. You can have a cyclic destruction default mode, right? And so let's actually look at it from that angle, and then we'll come back to communication. So if you have a default mode of cyclic destruction, it may look something like this. Things are going well, they're looking up for you, you're making good decisions, you're taking good action, and then all of a sudden you get triggered. Now, usually you don't realize that you were triggered, and once that happens, you end up going into a cycle of destruction. So for my 17-year-old, that tends to look like a self-sabotaging action, number 1. And then from there, somebody ends up getting hurt. And then from there, he starts beating himself up. And then from there, he goes down this spiral of self-deprecating actions that are really, really bad for him, right? So yes, that's a 17-year-old example, but you can take that and go, okay, if I'm triggered and I don't really notice, right? And I'm not really paying attention, I don't catch it early enough, then I go down this, spiral. And then once I realize that happens, I come back from that and then something else happened. And so that's how you get it into a cycle, right? Things are going well, going good. Something happens. You're triggered. You start spiraling down. You start sabotaging yourself and boom, the cycle of destruction. Now I have an entire live training I've done on this, and I'm pretty sure talked about it on the podcast before in the past, but I'm sure that it will be somewhere on my TikTok, or maybe I'll even bring that live back to this podcast because it is so fucking important to pay attention to the cycles that are happening that cause destruction in your soul and destruction in your life. Now let's look at this from a communication standpoint. So cyclic destruction in communication looks like maybe you bring something up, and we're going to go with partner, okay? Your significant other. You bring something up to them that is important to you. You guys start to talk about it. And maybe the conversation is, up and down, right? And at a point where it looks like it's coming to a close, someone says something or maybe does something that kicks it back up. And now you go back through the cycle again. You start explaining how you feel again. They start explaining how they feel again. And this can happen over and over and over in one conversation and saying the same things over and over. And what happens when that happens is that the conversation starts to escalate because one or both of you are sick of talking about this fucking topic, right? And now we're in this cycle for the 3rd, the 4th, the 5th, the 6th, however many times in this one conversation. Then if you're not careful, that cycle can loop into like this infinity fucking bullshit to something else and like attach. And now you're in cyclic destruction of a past issue that you've had. So now you're cycling a past issue. You're probably not talking about the current issue much anymore. And now you're 2, 3, 4 hours into this disagreement and this issue, and you wonder why there's no reconciliation, right? There's no coming to a common ground where at the end of that conversation, you feel complete connected and on the same page. Remember, it's not about agreeing or disagreeing. It's about the completeness, the connection, and getting on that same page. Cyclic destruction stops that from happening because neither of you are stopping that conversation going, whoa, okay, we have already been through this. We have already talked about this, right? And there's no need to go through it again. So let's figure out what it is that we need to get some closure in this conversation. So that's also why the cycle happens, is because one or both of you do not feel complete. And so without feeling complete, there's that cycle. Are you tired of feeling stuck? Do you long to break free from the chains that are holding you back? Then it's time to get your shit together and rediscover the incredible woman that you are within. Introducing my Get Your Shift Together Soul Camp, which is a life-changing training designed specifically for women who are ready to release what's been weighing them down and embark on a journey of self-discovery and empowerment. In this transformative soul camp, you're going to learn powerful techniques, gain valuable insights, and connect with a community of like-minded women who are all on the same path to reclaiming their true selves. This soul camp will guide you through a series of eye-opening exercises and thought-provoking discussions, helping you uncover your hidden potential and embrace a life filled with purpose and authenticity. I want you to picture a life where self-doubt fades away, replaced by unwavering confidence. Imagine letting go of the past pain and stepping into a future filled with joy and fulfillment. That's exactly what Get Your Shift Together is all about. Together, we're going to explore those barriers that's been holding you back, address the limiting self-beliefs that have been keeping you small, and empower you to take bold steps towards creating the life you truly desire. So don't miss this opportunity to join a community of women who are committed to their growth, healing, and transformation, because this Get Your Shift Together Soul Camp is completely free. It's 100% free, so there's no reason to wait. All you need to do is go into the show notes, click the link, and save your spot 100% free so that you can unlock the doors to a life of freedom, self-expression, and unbridled happiness. So again, click the link in the show notes and get signed up for the free Get Your Shift Together Soul Camp. Cycle, cycle, cycle. Usually completeness is coming from you or them feeling like you need to come to their side because they're right? Or you need to just agree with them, or vice versa, that you're right and they need to agree with you. And when that's not happening, that cyclic destruction kicks up. And we'll talk about completeness in another podcast episode, because I think it's really important to dedicate an entire episode to that and how to get to that, let's say, completeness of a conversation or completeness within you, and what to do when you feel mostly complete or you don't feel complete at all. So we'll talk about that in a different episode. But my point here is, when it's cyclic, it's usually because you're treating that conversation with that person like a battleground of either they come to your side or you come to their side. That there's no meeting in the middle. There is no middle ground understanding of compromise. It's either you're coming to my side and seeing my view, or I'm coming to your side and seeing your view. And until that happens, we're going to be in this battle. And in that battle is a never-ending cycle of either saying the same thing over and over and over again, maybe in a different way, different perspectives of the same topic of that conversation, or it can escalate and then veer off into the same past shit that you've had conversations over and over and over again, right? And now it's coming into this. So the way that you stop that cycle is literally stopping and saying, okay, what do you need from me? Or what is it that you're missing from what I've said that I could share with you, that I can give you some clarity on, so that way we can come to an agreement and an understanding, a connection point, a completeness, a wholeness of this conversation from your perspective, right? And that's a vice versa thing, right? They can ask you that as well. but you're the one listening to this podcast episode. You're the one getting that information. So until this happens a few times in a conversation, that other person is not going to start talking about what is it that you need to feel complete? What is it that you need for me to understand more? How can I help you understand where I'm coming from more? What questions you have for me? They're not going to ask you that because they're not listening to this episode. So unless you share this with them and have them listen to it, it's going to be on you to bring that to the table of the conversation. So one thing that I realized in my communication style, and it didn't matter if it was with my husband or if it was with my children, is that anytime I didn't feel seen, heard, or understood, I would kick up in a cycle and start repeating myself, right? And so what that did was create these long drawn out conversations, definitely with my children, right? Hours of us talking and not really feeling like it's getting anywhere. And then it's ending with, this is what I want you to do. This is what I expect from you. Here's my apology. Here's what I'm going to do, for my kids, right? And it just didn't feel right. And I could never figure out why. In my marriage, it was constant escalation, constant disconnection, constantly like, God, we just don't vibrate the same. We don't have the same communication style. We do not speak the same language. I used to feel like that so fucking much because this would happen so much in our conversations. And so not me taking 100% ownership, because in a relationship, there's both sides, right? There's both sides of communication. There's different communication styles from each person. There's personality types that go into that. But my ownership was that I didn't know myself well enough to realize that the reason why I would get stuck in a cycle is because I didn't feel seen, heard, or understood. That was my issue of why I was causing cyclic destruction. Right now, from the outside in, I can read situations with me and other people and go, oh, the reason why they were causing cyclic destruction is because they felt attacked. They felt wrong. They felt embarrassed, whatever, right? And so now they're going in this cycle over and over and over again, right? Because they don't know how to express how they're feeling. They're obviously not coming to your side because you're in your own cycle. And if you both are going in these cycles, man, it's just a complete shit show. So like I talk about a lot, and when I talked about the 6 steps to creating a deep soul bond, these things that I'm teaching you, these ways of communicating, are not just for your relationship with your significant other. It's any relationship that you have where you want to have that deep soul connection, or that you do have that deep soul connection. You want to maintain that. And so what you're learning here in this podcast is about maybe what you're missing or what you can supercharge, right? And what you can make better. And so you're obviously going to always get my experiences and what I'm learning from my own experiences, my own life, and how I'm growing through that. I call those growth moments, and I'm bringing them to you here on the podcast and giving them to you. So the next time you're in a conversation, I want you to pay attention to what is going on when you start cycling. What's going on and when they start cycling? Did you do something that put them into a cycle of destruction in that conversation? Do they do something that triggers you that puts you into that cycle of destruction in that conversation? Or are they not doing something that you need? See, in that episode of the 6 steps to creating a deep soul bond, I talk about creating a safe space and what that means, right? So if you're not clear about what that means, or you haven't defined that and you haven't sat down and you haven't had that conversation, and then you go into a conversation with your significant other and you're not feeling safe based on your criteria, that's going to trigger cyclic destruction. Now, cyclic destruction, I want to mention, does not always mean it's outward, meaning it doesn't mean that you're lashing out or yelling or whatever. It could mean that you shut down, you're just done, you're not going to talk, right? That is destructive as well. So don't misunderstand what this means and how it can really impact you and your body and your physiology, your mind, your soul, and how it can impact those around you as well. So I want you to take this, and I want your takeaway, and the main thing for you to remember from this is that the reason why you're going in a cycle is because you're missing something. You're missing something you need from that conversation. or they're missing something they need from that conversation. And the way to get to that point is say, hey, what is it that you need from me so that you feel heard, or you feel seen, or you feel understood, or so that you feel validated? Because, I can feel that we're starting to go around in a circle, and I know that means that we're slightly missing what the other one is saying, right? Because that's also what happens in there. It's like you're both speaking and you guys are getting what each other's saying, but not quite. So now we got to go around again, right? What's that not quite? What is the question that needs to be asked? What needs to be shifted to understand more, right? All right. So with that being said, take this, implement this in the relationships that you have, and then let me know how it goes. Let me know what happens. And remember this sacred truth. Say yes to yourself, for within you lies infinite worth. Let your heart be your compass, guiding you on a path of self-discovery and liberation. Grant yourself the grace to stumble and rise, for it is in our imperfections that we find our strength. Embrace the dance of progress, where each step forward fuels the fire within you. And with massive power and deep soul conviction, let this be your anthem, your unwavering declaration. I choose me. I'm Power Coach Alicia, and we'll see you next time. Thank you so much for tuning in to the Soul Fire podcast. You being here means the world to me, and I'm grateful for the time that you've dedicated to be here. And by consistently showing up, I firmly believe that you will transform your life. I'm so grateful that you've subscribed and you continue to share with others, spreading my message far and wide, because together we can reach my mission of transforming the lives of 1 million souls on their healing journey. Now, to provide you even more support on your soul healing journey and address any questions you may have, I would like to invite you to join our soul healing community. Simply visit community.thesoulhealingzone.com. Again, that's community.thesoulhealingzone.com, where you can connect with like-minded women, share your top takeaways, discuss what resonated with your soul, and express your absolute favorite moments from this episode. I can't wait to read them. I'm so freaking excited to create more empowering episodes and continue supporting you. I am sending you so much love, light, and peace as we journey through this thing called life.